This video is brought to you by Squarespace, the best all-in-one platform for all of your website building needs. Hey guys, it's Celestia, and ever since people started saying friend-shaped to describe everything they think is cute or little guy coded, it's become an omnipresent part of my vocabulary that I physically cannot get rid of despite my best efforts. In the past week alone, I've used it to describe a neighborhood raccoon, the baby from Eraserhead, at least 5 SCPs, Michael Sarah, a piece of tortellini, a rat smoking a cigarette, several vegetables, Koro-sensei, a blurry figure in a BuzzFeed Unsolved episode, and an actual bag of garbage. And in fairness, I stand by those assessments of friend-shapedness with pride. It just wasn't until I instinctively called this little guy friend-shaped with sincere and automatic fondness that I actually started to get a little alarmed. Because I don't want an AI assistant. I don't have Alexa, I disabled Siri, and I definitely don't use ChatGPT. And my instinctive response to anything offering those features is discomfort and aversion. The idea of deliberately bringing AI monitoring into the privacy of my home and giving it access to my personal information and letting it watch me, even if it is for the purpose of security, is one that I find vastly more terrifying than appealing. And I definitely don't want to talk to something powered by ChatGPT like it's my pet or, God forbid, my friend. But the moment something that does all of those things is repackaged in the form of a cute little guy with big eyes who's just doing his best, the caution and aversion that I would feel towards it in any other form immediately dissipates, because he's friend-shaped. Obviously, common sense almost immediately corrected that instinctive fondness when I learned what his functions were and realized that he was not, in fact, a friend, friend-shaped or not. But the speed with which my brain was willing to accept him as harmless despite the entirety of his functionality going against everything I believe in, and, in my opinion, posing a fairly significant threat, was a little jarring. And it got me thinking about just how often art and design exploit that instinctive fondness towards the cute and friend-shaped when used by the wrong people for the wrong reasons. Yes, we have finally gotten to the part of this intro where I explain what the hell any of this has to do with art. See, I worked in marketing for a long time, as I've mentioned many times before, so I'm no stranger to the many ways that art and design are used to manipulate us. In fact, I just recently did a video discussing how that corporate art style that everyone hates is actually deliberately and carefully composed of design elements that were chosen almost entirely to manipulate consumers, trying to humanize even the most inhumane companies and convince us that the people running them are just like us. There's more to it than that, and that video's in the iCard above if you want to hear it. But the point is that art's use as a tool for manipulation is not a new concept to me or this channel. It's just that we normally see it. That's a big part of the reason that style is so widely hated. People see through that manipulation and don't fall for the false sense of familiarity and security that it's trying to elicit. It's so obviously trying to make us think that the bright colors and simple shapes are indicative of the company using it being completely harmless and fun and human and approachable, that it accomplishes the opposite. And most design techniques used in advertising and marketing are similarly transparent and subsequently less effective at making us less cautious of what they're promoting than we should be, like they're meant to. But cute art, and I mean genuinely cute art, not obviously trying too hard to be cute art, is different. There's something about a company mascot, a robot, or even the icon of an AI-powered chatbot being friend-shaped that makes us not just trust it, but like it. And it's that difference that I want to examine and discuss in today's video. What exactly is it that makes a design friend-shaped? And why is it so effective at making us like it? And more concerningly, when does that cuteness cross the line from harmless to dangerous? But before we get into all that, I'd first like to take a moment to thank today's sponsor, Squarespace. Squarespace has been supporting this channel for so long that regular viewers don't just expect the comforting familiarity of my videos starting with me rambling about them. They leave so many comments objecting to any video without them that I've basically started doing a monthly highlight reel of them in this segment. I've just started accepting the jokes about Duchess Celestia x Squarespace being a ship because we're basically married at this point. Largely because if I had to marry any sponsor, it would be them. They are, in my opinion, the best website building and hosting platform out there. Something that I learned firsthand when I built my portfolio there long before we started working together. It was such a fun and easy experience that they've been my first recommendation for any artist looking to do the same ever since. But beautiful portfolios are really just the beginning of what Squarespace has to offer. Their massive library of incredibly versatile templates includes tons of perfect options for any kind of website you could possibly want to build. Portfolios, stores, blogs, even expertly crafted collections of reaction images like the one you're seeing now. And with features that help you maximize your site's functionality and visual design tools that make establishing valuable brand recognition easy, it's ridiculously simple to customize those templates right into the site of your dreams. And if that dream site happens to include an online store, the Squarespace commerce platform has got you covered, since it lets you do everything from manage your inventory to take sales and even to print shipping labels. And it's just as easy for your customers to pay as it is for you to get paid, too, since they offer all of the most popular payment methods like Klarna, ACH Direct Debit, Apple Pay, Afterpay, and ClearPay, as well as the option to send individualized invoices to specific clients. Whether you're an artist in need of a portfolio, an entrepreneur building an online store, a creator setting up an interactive blog, or a small business owner making a landing page, Squarespace is the place to do it. And you can find out yourself by going to squarespace.com to get your own free trial today. And once you've built the perfect site that you're ready to launch, you can get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain by going to squarespace.com/Duchess linked in the description. Thank you so much to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video, and please go check them out. All that out of the way, let's get back to why I'm making such a seemingly ridiculously big deal out of the word friend-shaped and turning this into some art manipulation crisis. It's not a crisis. I'm not trying to tell you that the Duolingo owl is running the shadow government and we can't trust anything that makes us go, oh, he's just a little guy. But the speed with which I found that little ChatGPT-powered robot instinctively adorable and therefore harmless, when I wouldn't have if it weren't so cute, did get me thinking a lot about the power that cute things have over us. Because it's just different than the other ways that art is used to manipulate us, and it's alarmingly more effective. Historically speaking, art has always been a tool used to persuade, to communicate a message through its subject matter or design elements that viewers will either consciously or subconsciously understand. And in many cases, that's been done openly, honestly, and productively. Viewers of the art communicating those messages know that they're being persuaded to hear and consider them, which then allows art to function as an instrumental and wonderfully influential tool to spread awareness and understanding of important social, political, ethical issues. You're supposed to know that it's making you think a thing. It's supposed to influence you, and you're supposed to notice. There's just also been a very thin line between art that influences and art that manipulates, because that awareness isn't always intended. You're not always supposed to know it's making you think or feel a certain way, because the goal of its creator is to make you do so without your knowledge. And while that may sound deceptive, it's still not always inherently bad. Colors, shapes, textures, composition, so much about the visual language of design is extraordinarily effective at influencing the way that we perceive the things being depicted by it. And capitalizing on that isn't always done deceptively. Children aren't supposed to be consciously aware that the bright colors and big eyes and fluffy fur of their toys are deliberately selected design elements intended to make them seem harmless and fun, or how that even works. But it's not a bad thing that they do make them seem harmless and fun, because they are. This apparel company's logo and branding is carefully curated to make them seem human, inoffensive, appealing, cute, and desirable. But that's not deceptive if that's exactly what their products are. Manipulation isn't inherently malicious if it's being used to reinforce a truth rather than convince you of a lie, and that's the same with art and design. The problem is that more often than not, it is being used to convince you of a lie. Art was an exceptionally effective tool during wartime, for example, to spread propaganda and manipulate citizens into certain beliefs or behaviors, promoting everything from blind patriotism to the acceptance of harsh or unjust laws. There were so many posters showing idyllic, smiling families in bright and happy homes who were proudly and happily making the sacrifices that the government wanted them to, thereby encouraging citizens to embrace poverty, rationing, and the loss of civil liberties because that was their duty, and look how happy those other families still managed to be anyway. Corporate advertising has always used the same formula, too, just with the goal of manufacturing desire and demand for their products rather than complacency and subservience with their goals and ideals. But in both instances, as well as the many others that I won't take up more of your time listing, we're usually at least somewhat aware of what they're trying to do. Like I said earlier, we're not stupid, at least as a general rule, and we're critical and suspicious of art in those settings when we feel like it's trying to make us think or feel something that we don't think or feel. We look at ads with corporate Memphis art styles and posters commissioned by official government offices with scrutiny, because we know that more often than not, every part of that art exists solely to serve a purpose that usually benefits its creators much more than us, and certainly isn't just art to be appreciated. But not if it's friend-shaped. We have an innate, subconscious, and incredibly powerful tendency to lower our guard when something looks warm and safe and cute, and it's rooted in psychology. Things with baby-like features stimulate the nurturing parts of our brains that are wired to protect our young. So not only do we feel affectionate and trusting towards them, we even feel instinctively motivated to take care of them. That's why so many toys and cutesy mascots are designed to have big eyes, round faces, and simple but warm and happy expressions. They're made to exploit our natural maternal or paternal urge to trust and protect. Cuteness isn't just something we find visually appealing, it's something we feel an instinctive emotional response to. There have been multiple studies done in which robots that are given deliberately and overtly adorable features have been significantly more effective at making actual humans want to help them, engage with them, and even affectionately pat them like a pet than featureless robots that are otherwise identical in terms of functionality. One even asked people some incredibly personal questions, but was so fucking adorable about it that people actually answered, even when they would otherwise be completely uncomfortable doing so, even with another actual human being. I mean, let me present you with a hypothetical. You have a Roomba. That's probably not hypothetical for a lot of you actually, but it is to me, so just go with it. It hits a wall, flips over, and stops working. You're probably gonna sigh, be vaguely annoyed that it's failing to do the task that you bought it to do, and eventually resign yourself to getting up and flipping it back over. Now imagine the same situation, but you've given that Roomba a name and put a sticky note with a very cute smiley face on top of it. Suddenly, it's been just humanized enough to endear itself to you, and now it's not a tool failing to serve its purpose, but a little guy that just needs help getting back up. And you want to help that little guy back up. It's not an annoying chore that you have to do. You feel sympathy for it, even though you consciously know that it's no more capable of being upset by the situation than it would have been if it didn't have a cute little face and wasn't named Keanu Reeves. It's become a friend-shaped little guy. Now, those are some pretty harmless examples. Even if Keanu Reeves had been specifically designed with a face and a name to manipulate you into wanting to help it and take better care of it, it's not like that manipulation is actively harming you. But as a wider concept, robots being designed to be cute so that we're more inclined to like and trust them isn't harmless, or at least it definitely has the potential not to be. Technology is developing at an unprecedentedly terrifying speed, and we're being pushed to accept it by the people developing and profiting from it, even if it's not in our own best interest to do so. Automating the majority of human jobs without providing the humans who used to do them with an alternative way of making money is not good, and it's not something we should allow to happen. But if the people making it happen also make the machines responsible look like this, it's a lot harder to resist it. It feels like we're being needlessly cruel to something innocent, excluding and demonizing this perfectly harmless friend-shaped little guy. Its design is so cute that it distracts us from its function, and it's supposed to. It's no accident that that AI-powered robot that I showed you earlier looks like that. It's pretty likely that the design team responsible for it was told, there are still way too many people who refuse to use AI and therefore train it, improve it, give it and therefore us access to their personal information, and make us money. Design this for them. Don't make the technology or the features the focus. Make it so cute that they don't question or worry about those features. We're living in an episode of Black Mirror. We're just in the first half where things haven't gotten bad enough for people to notice it yet. And friend-shaped design is one of the ways to make sure that we don't. One less obvious and dystopian example of this that I've been noticing a lot lately is one that I'm pretty sure the vast majority of you have heard of, Character AI. It's an app that's basically an AI-powered chatbot, but you can create and personalize your own to create characters to talk to. And you can talk to the ones that others have created too if they share them publicly. For the most part, people use it as an alternative to reading fanfiction or role-playing as their favorite characters, so that they can just talk to character AI models of those favorite characters instead, with the app effectively functioning as a replacement for the fanfiction and writing communities that were used to train it and make it possible for it to exist in the first place. It's no less unethical and exploitative than any AI-based image generator on a fundamental level. It's just a different form of art and type of artist that's being exploited by it. And yet with increasing and concerning frequency, I've been seeing even artists who are passionately against AI image generation openly and shamelessly talk about how often they use character AI to talk to whatever character they're simping for that week, like it's completely harmless because its icon has the face of their precious little meow meow. Artists that I know personally in the community that publicly oppose AI to their audiences talk in private about how much they love messing around with this app, as if it's not the exact same thing they're against when it's targeting their medium of art. And yeah, it's partially hypocrisy and ignorance, but I also think it's honestly in large part because of the same friend-shaped design concept. It's just using familiarity rather than cuteness. The characters may not be designed visually to be friend-shaped in terms of baby-like cuteness, but the bots themselves are modeled after existing characters that are already so beloved by so many people that they themselves are, for all intents and purposes, friend-shaped on a fundamental level by way of that alone. These companies are targeting familiarity, fondness, and cuteness to make even people who are otherwise vehemently against what they're selling or promoting like and accept it. And again, I don't mean to catastrophize or fearmonger or exaggerate how much of a problem this is. Critical thinking is literally all it takes not to fall for these techniques. And I'm not saying this is some massive global conspiracy that we're helpless to resist, but I am saying that it's developing from a familiar problem into a new one, and I don't think we're fully prepared for it. Up until now, friend-shaped art and design manipulation was largely only used to sell products and build brand loyalty. That's why mascots are so unbelievably popular in Japan, to the point of being a legitimate cornerstone of their economy, because representing yourself and your company with a funny little guy is massively effective at making people buy your stuff and trust your brand. They even make us tolerate and actually like things that we normally wouldn't. Annoying or not, we tolerate Duolingo sending us 100 alerts a day because they're coming from a little green owl and not a nameless, faceless program. And friend-shaped mascots like that are even more effective than mascots as a whole. For example, both Duo and Clippy annoy us with a million pieces of useless information that we don't care about and don't want to hear. But we'll tolerate it from Duo because he's a cute little guy, and we won't tolerate it from Clippy because he looks like a failed government experiment that breached containment from Area 51. But we all know that. We know Duo looks that way to manipulate us into using Duolingo more. We know Hello Kitty is the precious little icon of kawaii culture that she is, because the fondness her cuteness generates in us sells a shit ton of merch. We know Disney hides hides its shady as hell business practices behind the familiar, beloved face of Mickey Mouse, because it's Mickey, and he would never do that, not all men. Friend-shaped art manipulation using cuteness to influence us is not a new problem, and it's almost always been a manageable one. It's not harmless, and it is something people should be aware of, but the worst consequence of not being aware of it has largely just been the normalization of consumerism and buying stuff you don't need, or staying loyal to brands that you otherwise wouldn't care about. But that's changing. Friend-shaped art manipulation is evolving from a technique to sell stuff and build brand loyalty, and into one designed to make us trust technologies that could pose serious risks to our privacy, security, and even our values and independence. And yeah, it's just starting out. Character AI and this AI desk robot companion thing aren't posing an immediate threat to the future of humanity, and I'm not suggesting that they are or that you should fear them like they are, but they're paving the way for the acceptance of much more dangerous things in similarly cute packages, and I think that's an important thing to be aware and cautious of. Ultimately, I'm not saying you need to be immediately and carefully suspicious of any cute art or things designed to be vaguely reminiscent of a little guy. I'm just saying that now more than ever, I think it's important to question why the friend-shaped things we're drawn to are friend-shaped, and whether or not they really are friends. And yes, to be clear, I know how f***ing ridiculous it is to be seriously using this term to talk about this. That's not lost on me. I've unironically said friend-shaped so many times in this video that it's made me rethink the life choices that led me here. But I've made my bed, and I am apparently pretty determined to lay in it. Maybe it's friend-shaped. But let's end this topic at its beginning. The term itself originated, if I'm not misremembering, from some video about some kind of wild animal. I think it was a bear, but I could be wrong. And someone asking, if not friend, why friend-shaped? And I mean, first of all, fair point. But second, that's actually a pretty good analogy for this. Bears aren't dangerous because they're cute, and there's nothing wrong with the fact that they are. You can find them as adorable as you want, and no one can tell you not to. You're honestly correct, and you should say it. It only becomes a problem if you decide that they're so cute and friend-shaped that they aren't dangerous, and decide to treat one like an oversized chihuahua. Cute art and mascots, even from the most exploitative companies representing the most concerning products and technologies, aren't a problem, so long as you don't let their friend-like shape convince you that they're friends without question. Art is a much more powerful tool for persuasion and manipulation than people realize, and I think it's important to be as aware as we can of how it's being used. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed today's video. Special thank you as always to channel members Joseph Solomon, TC Pratt, Zelda Deverak 42, Haruki Saluzzo, King Good James, CP Lil Thing, Art of Amethyst Fable, Extinction Animation, Andy the Hedgehog, Kaida Memer, Jazz, and Mad Girls Arts, as well as patrons Batman, Kyle Lowe, Blue Swanson, Cora Fear, Jamisha Walker, Lengshi, Kim Yen, Crazy Asar, Gentong, Grayson Xavier, Blah Mage, TC Pratt, Finn, Celine Merriman, Eldritchia, The Stray Dog, Ulura, Greg Noble, Decagon, Jenny Chen, Catbus, Mac, Lucia Majiki, Selena BB, Pryday, Totally Shogun, Insomniac Sleep Schedule, Wing Tang Wong, Marie Greer, Potato, Jazz, and Voidwalker, and I'll see you in the next one.